Today we're diving into a world where cutting-edge innovation meets human behavior, with a guest who embodies global leadership and forward-thinking excellence. Joining us is professor and thought leader David De Cremer, the Dunton Family Dean of Northeastern University's DeMaury McKim School of Business.
Thank you, Chloe, for having me.
Thank you. So to start off, a little bit of personal about me. I'm a second-year honors student at Northeastern University. I'm studying business administration with a concentration in finance and a minor in economics. So I'm in the figure skating club. I'm in the sorority Kappa Kappa Gamma. I am doing a lot on campus with women in business. I'm in some fun arts clubs, just things like that. And I'm from California.
Oh, wow, great. Busy bee. I love it. Our students are the best, and the reason why is because they do so many different things. So I love it, the broad range that you're bringing with
Thank
you.
And if you could tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Belgium. My mom is Dutch. My father is from Belgium. I did primary school, high school in Belgium, and then I went to the Catholic University of Leuven, which is a 600-year-old university in Europe. It's the most innovative university in Europe as well. I'm very proud of it. And after that, I did a PhD in the UK at the University of Southampton. And that's basically where my international travel started. I look at academia as a challenge for my brain, for my thinking, but at the same time it's also a great way of exploring the world and seeing different perspectives, different cultures. So I've worked in the Netherlands, UK, China, Singapore, and now in the US.
Wow, that's incredible. So how has this experience kind of shaped your desire to work in the academic field, and where did that kind of push your vision as a dean?
Well, I found out while I was at the university that research attracted me, thinking about a problem and trying to find solutions to that problem. And I also did, in addition to my master's, a bachelor in philosophy. And this is really where I fell in love, you could say, with thinking itself. So I loved spending time in the library in philosophy, which is, because it's such an old university, it's hundreds and hundreds of years old. So you really have these old corners where you can find old books. And to some extent that was so mesmerizing. It's like I fell in love with writing and thinking.
Yeah.
So, and then I thought, okay, where do you do this? What kind of job provides you that opportunity, which is research?
Yes.
So in my final year, I published my first paper, and from then on, I pursued a PhD, and this is what happened. I became a professor, a chair professor, a provost chair, and now I'm a dean.
Wow, that's incredible. Where do you see in the future of kind of combining that experience of really student-based learning and ideas with AI?
Well, that's a big question, because it means that one thing we need to make sure that we secure is really that people keep their own critical thinking.
Yeah.
So I want people, humans, to be in charge of their own thinking. And as you know, AI to some extent may be a challenge to that in terms of misinformation, biased thinking. We don't know what's under the hood, to say so. It may be a black box, a lot of the large language models today. So this is something that I am extremely interested in as a researcher, but also as a dean. How do we balance this AI and human interaction so that we keep the best of what it means to be a human?
Yeah.
Having the emotional intelligence, understanding different perspectives, as I said, like I saw academia as a way to get to know the world. I want to keep that wondering. I want to keep that inspiration there, which we have at Northeastern University because we want our students to go out there. But at the same time, being able to use AI as a tool to actually get information quicker, to be more informed about decisions you have to make, but also treat it as a new context because it's the future.
Yeah.
So we're not only globally minded, we're also future oriented.
Okay, what advice would you give to students now studying to kind of pursue that and be really successful in an AI-driven world?
Yes, so as you know, since I've started as dean, we have a new mission, which is really to educate our students to be socially responsible leaders of the world, who are able to work, navigate, and create in a tech-enabled environment. So the word says it already itself, tech-enabled. So it's really using technology for good. And what is for good? Well, that's determined by your own purpose, the organizational purpose, the values you bring into your own leadership style. Because you approach, or that's at least what I hope, that our students will approach business situations from a certain angle that we've taught them, but also mixed with their experience.
Yeah.
And that they are very much aware what those values are, how they're looking at the world. And that in combination with using AI to be more efficient at it, to be more productive, but also to be able to have impact and make that difference. So AI is that enabler there.
Okay, that's incredible. There's been a little bit of kind of debate on campus about
There's a controversy here.
No, not controversy. Not controversy. Maybe more concern of students of how will we stay relevant. So as a dean, how do you forecast kind of helping students not only stay relevant, but desirable in an AI-driven world?
I think that's a very good question. What do you do as a student to be attractive to the market, but also stay loyal to yourself and what you're learning so that you become your own unique person, to say so. And I'm stressing here unique because towards the future in the AI era, I call this the authenticity premium. Companies will be looking more and more for people who basically understand how they look at the world. So basically that's why it's important with our education here. It's experience based. You're learning by going to different parts of the world and you try to put this in perspective. And our professors, they help you in doing this. And then you transfer that knowledge to business. So you have an understanding of what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, which brings you to purpose, your values. And we have such an ecosystem here where we have such an international student body. So I would say mingle, get to know different perspectives, because that's going to help you to have that knowledge now put in different perspectives. And then I hope through that journey, 4 or 5 years, you'll find out about yourself, that you're aware of these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, this is what I love doing. You find your passion, and that's going to lead to hopefully your own approach to things. So this is why I say our vision is learn across borders to lead with impact. Okay. If you learn across borders going into the world, understanding AI is going to be part of that future. How does it work corporate? How do I use academic knowledge? Then it doesn't matter what you do. Whatever you do, you will have an impact. And companies want to know that.
Amazing. What qualities or skills do you think leaders will need to thrive in an AI-driven world?
So the skills leaders need to thrive in an AI-driven world, well, I'm going to borrow from the book that I just wrote on the AI-savvy leader, is first of all, don't think like a computer, because that's reducing yourself. But you need to be AI savvy. And AI savvy here means understand what AI can do and what it can't do. Because I believe that in understanding the limitations of AI, you'll see very quickly what is unique to humans, to humanity. And it's those skills that you want to keep cultivating. Because people may believe, oh, humans are born with soft skills, with emotional intelligence. You can still lose it if you don't train it and if you don't put it in the right perspective. So the obvious ones are, of course, critical thinking, because still within an AI needs a question. Who asked that question? That's the human. AI generates. Well, who verifies and who edits, who reinforces by means of additional prompts? It's a human. So critical thinking, putting things in a bigger perspective, meta thinking, is extremely important. So this goes back to what we talked about earlier in terms of seeing the bigger picture, but also understanding the different perspectives. Emotional intelligence, because what's going to happen in the business world is we're going to use data, and AI uses those data to inform our decisions. So that's providing us with a perspective, but you need to understand it across the board to say, is it relevant? It's not relevant. So you need to be able to work with that. But that also means, if you have these different perspectives, you need to bring people from different departments, groups together. So you need your emotional intelligence there to facilitate cross-functional collaborations. You need to be resilient because you need to adapt. AI changes all the time because everything progresses so quickly, but also the world changes. Look at the political situation. It can change very quickly. So in order to navigate in what they call the new normal is being on every day of the week, to say so, in terms of agility. Resilience is important, adaptability is important. And finally, as a leader, for the leader for tomorrow, it's going to be extremely important that you can coach younger people on that trajectory. So you will have to be a lead. A leader will be a teacher as well in that sense.
Amazing. Okay. So as of now, even in my classes, I'm seeing that we're learning the skills of kind of what questions to ask AI and how to use it in a light setting. How do you see over time this really changing the coursework and the curriculum of Northeastern?
Well, as you said, AI will have an enormous impact on what's going to happen in the classroom, in your coursework. So which direction are we heading? And as you said, at Northeastern University, we're already using AI as a tool. First of all, it's a tool in the classroom. And I completely agree with this, because the way you have to see it is our classroom is going to be to some extent a simulation of the workplace. At the workplace today, AI is a tool. So, of course, when I arrived here, people were still having these discussions. You can't use AI because it's cheating. But my response was very simple. Well, we're here to prepare students to that workplace. Of course, we simulate it. AI is now part of the classroom. So that's a big step that we made. Now, this brings along several challenges, of course. Challenges of like, okay, how do you integrate it in the curriculum? And that everyone has the same access, that everyone has the same experience in using it. So that means our professors need to be AI savvy as well, which we're doing now at the school. We have faculty days where we introduce faculty to AI, the best case studies that we have, that they can discuss the challenges. So we're investing enormously in that. But it's going to change the teaching process itself. So I always use the example that up until, let's say, a few years ago in the US, what would be the ending of your course is write an essay and the professor grades it.
Yeah.
And that was the ending. Well, today, that's the beginning. Because in a way, I could say, it doesn't matter who wrote the essay, whether it's you or ChatGPT, because it's the beginning of where we're going to start evaluating you. It's generated. Of course, I want you to write it with the help of AI, but it's generated. It's an input now to the learning process. Instead of being the end point, it's the starting point. So it's the input in the learning process, which means, okay, this is generated. Now I want you to work with that content. And like I said, with prompting, you can add it. But I want you to do more, because our students need to have impact in what they do, as I said. So that means you generate, you add it, but then you integrate it into the business classes you get. This can be strategy, this can be finance, this can be economics, this can be organizational behavior. What you've generated, how does this align with how you're going to run your business? And how you run your business has questions as, why are you in this business? You have certain values. Who are your stakeholders? What are the interests of those stakeholders that you need to address? And how are you going to make that decision? So AI can inform you there, but you still have to make the decision. No AI can make those decisions. That comes down to the student, and that's where we're going to evaluate you on.
Yeah.
So that's a whole process. I call it from content to knowledge, because it's really knowledge driven.
Wow, that's incredible. So I know that Northeastern has really gone about kind of acquiring a huge global footprint. And where do you see that impacting their trajectory for students long term by utilizing that global experience and the combination of AI?
Yes, Northeastern has what they call a global network, and it's essential to the identity of Northeastern, first of all, because we want to be that global university, being international. And like I said, it's important, therefore, for students to have that international outlook. Now, you may see in classes, and some people may even tell you this, oh, globalization is over. It's all about nationalization. It's much more about your own country. It's patriotism. These things always played a role. But I truly believe, if you look at first of all, from issues of sustainability, for example, we only have one planet. So we have one resource, which is the world. So if we just take that for granted, it's important to have a global outlook. I mentioned earlier already, having that global outlook gives you different perspectives. Different perspectives help you to be resilient and adaptable, and understanding why some people may respond differently than you do, which is already a winner. So global outlook helps with this. Second thing is experience. Because we have one planet, because the economy is global, countries are so intertwined, it is important that you learn to network across cultures. And I think for our students, when they go to classes in other universities in different countries, this helps them to talk to local students, to see how countries, their political system, their social systems are different, how it works. You will build those networks. Because there's one thing in my own travels that I've seen is like, you may say, okay, you're a new country, but then you're always a visitor, you're a guest. And then you leave again, you won't see these people again. No, it doesn't work like this. Education today is global. we work with the same knowledge. We add some cultural components to it, but we work basically with the same knowledge. So you're going to run into these people. I've met people after so many years that I never thought I would see again, but then it turns out they're in my same network, because before I did research on AI, I was working on something else. Then I moved into AI, and suddenly other people popped up again that actually I knew from my past. So it's extremely important to do the networking, because it's going to help you also to maintain these social relationships, remember, and the soft skills that we talked about. So I think those are important elements. I think it's a responsibility almost of any business leader, and especially in the AI era, because today media about AI is too dominated about profit first. Yes. It's a business itself, whereas AI should be seen as first people, planet, and then profit. It should be purpose driven. So from that point of view, I think being global is a responsibility.
We have a very large MBA program at Northeastern University, and within that, a lot of the students end up going towards consulting work. In the future, how do you see that kind of panning out?
First of all, consultancy companies are struggling with that question themselves. Yeah. So in my own experience, what I see is that consultancy companies quickly have adapted to the fact that AI is now part of the workflow, is part of business. And of course they have to, because their clients are companies. So they're asking for advice. Yeah. So, and you see this because if you would go back about 3 years in time, let's say, the percentage of the revenue of the big 5 consultancy companies was close to zero. Today it's about 20%. So that means in 3 years they've made a very big leap in becoming now very AI savvy. So there's an urgent need there to say, what does consultancy look like now that AI has entered the equation? Now, the questions they're struggling with has to do with several parts. First of all, with their own job. Because there's this famous Boston Consulting experiment where they showed in 90 minutes, some consultants were using ChatGPT, others consultants weren't using it, and it turned out they were more productive. Of course, the dependent measure was also the number of slides, and in an ironic way, I could say, like, most clients are not looking for more slides, but they're looking for advice and risk management of their companies. Yeah. So the debate is still out there, how much and how well AI can help in that kind of advising. But it can definitely help in terms of making consultancy much more the foundational work, looking literature reviews, making sure the knowledge ends up with the client. So that's definitely going to change the job of a consultant itself. But again, as I said before, consultants will have to work with AI as a tool to see how they can help address the question of the client more effectively. Yes. It's always the client who will define the goal of the assignment. So in that sense, things will stay the same. You have to be sensitive to these needs. You have to be savvy enough to understand the client, so different perspectives help there. But of course, what it's going to do to the job of the consultant, I see across the board. That's not only for consultancy, is if that job changes because some tasks will be done by AI, every profession where you have billable hours, like in law, lawyers, they have billable hours. Some of them work by 6 minutes tokens, like every 6 minutes you have to pay a certain amount. Consultants work like that as well. So a big challenge that they're seeing is, of course, how are clients going to see this if AI was involved in the advising? How do I bill my hours? Where is my contribution? And this is something where we focus a lot on here in school, but I also do in my own research and my own consultancy. It's really that companies build cultures where, again, AI is seen as that supporting tool, which means it's not simply seen as comparing it to humans and then, oh, AI does 30%, now you're being paid 30% less. That's not how it works. AI should enhance their productivity, efficiency, but also the value across the board. So never start rewarding people less because they are using AI, because that will induce a fear of people saying like, oh, why should I use AI? Because I'm going to be perceived negatively by the client and my boss. So it's important that these companies figure out how to do this and make sure that the job of a consultant is still attractive and at the same time appealing to clients. So that's going to be a big challenge there. Second is consultants will have to make a choice. Are you going to be advising and facilitating the integration of AI into whatever the client is asking? Or are consultant companies also going to come up with innovation themselves, which means they will need their own AI labs? and that they show we lead by example.
Yeah.
Our organization is using it as well, and we're developing that innovative potential of AI, because as a consultancy company, you expect innovation from us.
Yes.
So that's going to be another big question that they have to ask themselves and make a decision.
So would you say the future kind of looks like deliverables that combine, humanity, uniqueness, the soft skills we've talked about with the AI, maybe doing those more technical things or like really data-driven things as a combination for both?
Yes. So that's the AI-human interaction that
Yes.
will dominate. For a consultant company, what's going to matter that is how do you present this to the client so that the client doesn't get the perception or idea, well, Chloe, you know what? I think AI did part of your job, so I'm going to pay you less.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big challenge.
Okay. Are there any real-world examples of the human interaction with AI that you feel have been a very big success?
Well, the most successful examples of where we see AI helping humans is still in the basic functions like chatbots, analyzing data. Hey, what's in the report? Summarize it, or when it's unstructured data, is this in it? Please provide a profile, provide categories, so data analytics, and personalized customer management, I would say, because they can help us, look up more information, search engines. So it's really the basic functions that you see it's most successful, because basically most AI adoption projects fail at the moment because they can't upscale beyond these basic functions.
If you could give the students of Northeastern and students on a whole one piece of advice, what would it be?
Use the university and your university years to get to know yourself. Of course, study, learn, observe, listen, but apply it to getting to know yourself. Those 4 years, 5 years are not going to come back. And they're the groundwork, like I said, for whatever it is that you're going to do. After this education, you will make an impact.
Amazing.